Well, ladies and gentlemen, the year is 2026, and the Democrat Party has just officially become the modern-day Communist Party of America. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. We have a statement coming out yesterday evening from none other than Communist Mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani is his name. He sent this message yesterday evening. He says, if you have a second home in New York City worth more than $5 million, check your mailbox when you're back in the 5 boroughs, because you have just gotten mail. Today, we sent notification letters to property owners letting them know that our new pied-à-terre tax is coming soon. What is that type of tax? It's a tax. Pied-à-terre tax is a tax on second homes or condos or real estate that you own, etc. Okay, and keep in mind, in New York City, a lot of the buildings, a lot of the homes, it's a very expensive city to live in. I know you say $5 million home, that might be average price, that might be median price in New York City. It's an expensive place to live. Okay, he says, the best city in the world deserves the best parks, the best libraries, and the best schools in the world. That's only possible when we all pay our fair share, is what Kami Mamdani says. Now, have you noticed how the the communists, they love to use this phrase, fair share. Has anyone ever noticed that they never actually describe or define what fair share actually means? How many people living in New York City don't pay any taxes at all because they're so low income? They're actually recipients of benefits. They're net negative. Are they paying their fair share by paying nothing? No, of course not. When the communists talk about fair share, they're really just talking about taking money from people that have actually made something of themselves. That's what he's talking about. Now, we have a statement here from based Mike Lee, Republican senator. He says, 1, never elect a politician who sees your money as a slush fund. And that is exactly what communists like Mamdani, that's how they view your money. He says, never elect a politician who loves Karl Marx, and also never elect a politician who uses French words like pied-à-terre to disguise new confiscatory taxes he wants to impose to redistribute wealth. And you know what, Mike Lee? I absolutely agree. New York City's Zohran Mamdani is getting absolutely torched after gleefully announcing a new pied-à-terre tax on second homes worth over $5 million, posting that homeowners should check your mailbox when they're back in the city. The post racked up over 10 million views as conservatives ripped the self-described socialist mayor for what they called a confiscatory wealth grab. Yeah. Take. You know the best thing to say about this guy, Mamdani? In fact, it was Elon Musk himself that said this. He said, Mamdani is a taker, not a maker. Did Mamdani build a successful business? Has he ever run any type of business ever? No. He became mayor of New York City by promising on the campaign trail to steal money from people that actually have made a business and then give it to people that have done nothing. That's his claim to fame. He's a taker, not a maker. Now, brokers in New York City are already reporting that owners are calling to sell their properties before the tax takes effect, raising questions about whether the policy will gut the very revenue and jobs it claims to protect. Well, this is the classic communist dilemma, right? They want to raise taxes, just a little bit more taxes. Guys, we are so close to the communist utopia. It's almost heaven on earth. If only we can increase taxes by another 1% on the rich people. We just need another 1%, another 2%, another 10%. We're so close to communist utopia. And then, you know what happens? All the people that have money, all the people that have actually made something of themselves, that are business owners, that are whatever, these people just leave. They're not going to submit to this. They move out of town. They're moving down to Texas. They're moving down to Florida. And then what happens to a place like New York now under Kami Mamdani's leadership? It's just going to become a third world hellscape full of homeless people that are doing drugs on the sidewalk. That's what's going to happen. Anybody with the means to move is going to move. Now, we have a full comprehensive breakdown article here. Take a look at this. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is set to increase taxes on second homes. Why is Mayor Zohran Mamdani taxing second homes? Well, Mamdani has advanced a policy today to impose additional taxes on high-value secondary residences as part of efforts to address fiscal challenges in the city of New York, which have been caused by years of left-wing leadership. Why does New York City have fiscal challenges? It's because of years of left-wing leadership. You want to know the best way to bring affordability back to a place like New York City? I'll tell you, really, it's very simple. It's called mass deportations. Okay, you've got God knows how many millions or hundreds of thousands of illegal alien criminals that are doing jack squat. Not only are they not working or paying taxes, they are committing crimes. They're stealing people's cars. They are spray painting graffiti all over the city. They're stealing things from people. They're pickpocketing. They're receiving state and federal funded benefits. They are drains on society. You want to fix the budget? Get rid of those people, deport them back to the third world hellholes from whence they came. But of course, they can't do that. Details on the second home policy, tax policy. Communist Mayor Zohran Mamdani working with Governor Kathy Hochul. That's right, she has signed her support for this entire program. They've put in place a new pied-à-terre tax on New York City properties valued over $5 million used as second homes. The mayor has stated the goal is for ultra-wealthy non-residents benefiting from the real estate market to pay their fair share towards public services, such as parks, schools, and libraries. The pied-à-terre tax covers certain residential properties, co-ops, and condos that are not primary residences. It's set to take place early July 2026, with notices sent to each owner. This marks the first such measure of its kind at the state level for secondary residents. This is really, as far as America goes, this is a revolutionary communist policy. Nobody's ever done it before. Because here's a hint why: because it's so stupid. Official statements and strategic implications. President Trump has stated that Zohran Mamdani is destroying New York with tax policies that are so wrong that people are fleeing as a result. Yep. Trump noted history has proven such approaches do not work and has urged change. Senators have cautioned against electing officials who use specialized terms to introduce new taxes aimed at wealth redistribution. Yeah. Real estate brokers are reporting owners contacting them to sell their properties before the full effects of the pied-à-terre tax actually materialize, prompting questions on whether the policy will sustain the revenue and jobs that it actually seeks to support in the first place. A study from the Citizen Budget Commission showed New York's share of U.S. millionaires fell from 12.7% down to 8.7% over the last decade, meaning they're all leaving the city. They're fleeing en masse. This is the largest drop in millionaires of any state, implying roughly $10.7 to $11 billion less in personal income tax revenue every single year. You can't tax them if they don't live there, and they're choosing to not live there. Tax hikes, rent laws, and energy costs are factors with the current tax the rich position, including the pied-à-terre tax seen as accelerating moves to places like Texas and like Florida. Brokers have observed increased building sales and landlords relocating out of the city after the mayor took office amid rent freezes and tax signals. Look at this. The pied-à-terre tax targets second homes specifically. It is noted that the family of Mayor Mamdani maintains a multi-million-dollar mansion in one of Uganda's richest neighborhoods. A multi-million-dollar Ugandan mansion that is protected by 24/7 armed security. Well. Rules for thee, but not for me. We're going to take your wealth, but my wealth in Uganda, my family's multi-million-dollar mansion, we're going to keep that guarded by 24/7 armed security because we got to keep the poor people away from it. You might have heard Uganda's not exactly a very rich country. Commie Ugandan Mamdani, he's got a multi-million-dollar mansion. Can't redistribute that wealth, though, now can we? With measures of this nature, discussions have emerged comparing Democrat socialism approaches to more comprehensive systems of resource allocation. Really, we're comparing it to Marxism, to communism, which is what it is. The policy continues to develop as officials assess market responses and long-term revenue potential for New York City services. Folks, this is really a tale as old as time. The communists, they attempt to tax everyone, saying, well, if we can only tax the rich, another 1%, 2%, 10%, then everybody else is going to be able to live in the communist utopia. We're so close, but it doesn't work. It never works. In fact, oftentimes, it really just ends up with millions of people dead. That's the way communism has gone every single time so far. We're praying to the Lord, it doesn't happen here. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason we highlight this in New York City is because we need to be ever vigilant. We cannot allow DSA socialist Americans, really communists like Mamdani, to take root anywhere else in this country. We got to shut them down. That's what it's going to take to truly put America first.